Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Edmonton. My name is Jeff Bisanz. I get the privilege of being the service leader this morning. And I will be joined shortly by our minister, Reverend Rosemary Morrison. We hope that you in the sanctuary, you who are visiting online, you watching at some future date on YouTube, we hope that all of you feel welcome. Whatever your heritage, whatever your faith, whomever you love, however you identify, you're welcome here. I should note that for those of you who are new here, that this church is one of two Unitarian churches in Edmonton, the other being the Westwood Unitarian congregation in the Park Allen neighborhood. We're grateful for all the volunteers who make the service possible. That list includes the greeters and ushers here in the sanctuary, all the people who work to deliver the service online, and those who created the service with words, with images, and with music. As for cell phones, please have a conversation with your cell phone and ask it to be quiet for the next 75 minutes. Now, to get this service off to a ringing, maybe not a ringing start, let's have some announcements. I'd like to start with Declan.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Declan Kiley. My pronouns are he and she. I'm here to tell you about our monthly movie night. For January, we will be meeting here in the sanctuary to watch a movie for free on January 18th at 6 p.m. You can bring a snack and a drink and come enjoy a movie with us. It'll be related to our Soul Matters theme of the month, and we will have a discussion after the film about the themes of the movie. The movie this month is I'm Still Here, which is based on a true story. It was nominated for the Best Film, and it won International Best Film in 2025. The film begins in 1971 in Brazil when a military dictatorship was in power. We are introduced to the home of the Paiva family in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Here, the windows and doors were always open. The political discussion was free, and the music was constant until Bisanz, the father and husband, was taken away by the militia for questioning, and he never returns. I think it will be a very interesting film, and I'd love to see you all there. That's Friday, it's not January 18th. It'll be the last Friday of the month, which I don't remember which date that is. Last Friday of the month, 6 p.m., here in the sanctuary, free, bring a snack and a drink.
And if you need encouragement to watch that movie, just take a look at the trailer. It's a fantastic, interesting trailer. And if you read about the movie, I haven't seen it yet, but it looks like it's going to be a great movie. Next, Maria.
My name is Maria Odekirk. My pronouns are she and her, and I am here wearing my hospitality committee hat to remind you that we are carrying on with our second Sunday potlucks next month. It's pretty early, so just keep an ear out. We will be having sign-up sheets next week because it's February the 8th is the second Sunday in February. And we're especially, as always, looking for people who are willing to stay till the bitter end to help with cleanup. And I'm just going to say that those people are not to be Jan McMillan, Susan Rattan, or Claire Horn. So everybody else, dig deep, see if you can stay a little later and help us out. Thank you.
And I think one more announcement, Rosemary.
Good morning. My name is Reverend Rosemary Morrison, and it is my pleasure to be here this morning with you all. And I'm here most Sundays, as you probably know, because I work here. And I'm your minister. Yeah, it's a surprise, I know. My announcement is regarding the deep dive that Reverend Brian Kiley, our minister emeritus, is going to be doing with the congregation. The first one is February 15th. And what it is a deep dive into our principles. And you could say, oh, I know the principles. What are they? I don't need to go to that. But this is a deep dive into it. How can you use the principles in your life? Where did they come from? What do they actually mean? What are some really rich conversation could be happening. So have a look online and sign up, or reach out to Janet at CHADMIN, Chadmin, at uce.ca to sign up. Or just tell me you want to go and I'll sign you up. So, yeah, the first one is the February 15th. It's in the newsletter. I meant to grab a newsletter, so I had exactly, but it's after church, so bring a bag lunch.
Thank you. We gather with gratitude this morning on Treaty 6 territory in Region 6 of the Métis Nations of Alberta. We recognize that a treaty is an inheritance, a responsibility, and a relationship. May this recognition help us be good neighbors to one another, good stewards to our planet, and good ancestors to all our children. Earlier this week, I read an excellent blog by Corey Hogan, a newish member of Parliament from Calgary. The blog was entitled On Canada. It is a thoughtful description of what makes Canada special. And it wasn't about hockey or mountains or anything like that. As part of our land acknowledgement, I'll read an excerpt of this blog to you. This is Corey Hogan. Long before Confederation, Indigenous nations developed systems of governance, stewardship, and responsibility suited to this reality. Practical frameworks for living in places where carelessness had consequences. European settlement did not replace those realities. It collided with them. This produced habits that still define the country: federalism instead of centralization, negotiation instead of decree, accommodation instead of uniformity. Geography made absolute control impractical. Indigenous presence made legitimacy conditional. Development here has always been slower, more contested, and more procedural than elsewhere. That friction is also often frustrating. It's often stabilizing as well. Indigenous stewardship continues to materially shape how Canada functions today. Duty to consult, co-management regimes, Indigenous protected areas, and modern treaties place real constraints on state and corporate power. They slow decisions. They also make them more durable and thoughtful. The result is a country oriented toward patience over spectacle, process over force, and legitimacy over speed. Compromise here is not a moral pose, it is a survival strategy. Learned from the land and from those who knew it first. The point that Hogan is making is the same point that John Ralston Saul made in his book, A Fair Country, almost 20 years ago. As we acknowledge this Indigenous history of this land, let's not forget the present and powerful Indigenous influence on the distinctive ways in which Canada governs itself and makes decisions. Okay, our service this morning will get underway with music selected by Karen Mills. The theme for today is resistance. Where's the joy in that? And Karen promises that this is a piece of music that evokes both resistance and joy, but somehow it's called Viking Hordes. A lot of fun. I'd like to invite Ambrose Rodriguez to come to the front to light the flame, the chalice. As she does so, I'll read a piece that Rosemary selected called A Community Chalice Lighting by Atticus Palmer. We light this chalice before us in hope that we may always remain a strong community, working together to make the world a better place. When we are grieving or sad, when we are challenged, when we need help, this flame guides us out of darkness. When we are cheerful, when we celebrate, when we accomplish a great task, when we return to a place that makes us happy, the chalice reminds us to share our happiness with others. Thank you, Ambrose. Okay, our first hymn this morning is Gathered Here. It's number 389 in the gray hymnal. The words will appear on the screen behind me. Please rise as you're willing and able to sing Gathered Here. So this is a continued chapter in our ability to have competence here due to rounds. Now you're not even warned. Our church is entirely self-governing and self-supporting. One of the responsibilities of this free church tradition is that we provide all the financial support for the work of the church. If we could have some ushers who could collect donations. Thank you. As most of you know, we also make a monthly contribution beyond our walls. 1/2 of the unidentified cash is given to an outside organization. For the month of November, that organization is Change for Children, an Edmonton-based group that works in cooperation with the indigenous people of developing countries to identify root causes of poverty and to assist in finding long-term solutions. Change for Children is directed by Lorraine Swift, daughter of Louise Swift, a longtime member of this congregation.
So I love this video. Instead of a story today for a time for all ages. I want you to find the child within yourself and enjoy this song, sing along, find the sides of the church and sanctuary and dance if you like, because it is a very danceable song. So This Joy by the Resistance Revival Chorus, obviously done during COVID, so it's all the little boxes. It's wonderful. Enjoy.
Thank you, Rosemary. Good choice. The theme for today, as you've heard, is resistance. Where is the joy in that? You've been primed for this theme. 2 weeks ago, Karen Mills talked about Pink Shirt Day, an example of resistance that generates optimism, and then what she called radical optimism and even brutal optimism, to use her words. Last week, Karen Billida talked about the engagement of Unitarians in various past resistance movements. That's a history from which we can derive some pride. And later today, Reverend Rosemary will talk about joy in resistance. I want to talk about another aspect of resistance. It relates to optimism, it relates to the history, it relates to the joy, but it's different in a way. This past week, I read an article by someone I'd never heard of named Corbin Trent. He's an American political operator and a bit of an agitator. In his article, Trent warns readers about falling to what he calls the Trump trap. The context is American, but I think the trap idea applies broadly, so please bear with me. Trent wrote about the fact that Trump and his Department of Justice have gone after Jerome Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve in the United States. Trump says it's because Powell authorized building renovations that went over budget. But everyone knows the real reason is that Trump wants the Fed to reduce interest rates for his political purposes. So far, Powell and the Fed have refused. In situations like this, Trump's solution is to replace people who won't do his bidding with people who will. When he does what he does, people who care resist. In this case, they attacked Trump and the Department of Justice. They defended Powell. They defended the Fed. And they defended the way monetary regulation generally works in the Western world. Corbin says that some of them fell into the Trump trap. To quote, Trump does something lawless. We oppose it. Then opposing the method becomes defending the target. Suddenly we're not saying, you can't prosecute the Fed chair to get rate cuts. We wind up defending the Fed itself, treating Powell like some guardian of integrity instead of asking what his institution actually did. And then Trent goes on to severely criticize much of what the Fed and other monetary institutions have done over the last 75 years. He concluded by writing, we can't just be bodyguards for a broken status quo. We have to build something actually worth defending. This kind of trap is not limited to the U.S., nor are any of us immune to falling into a trap just like it. When our provincial government moves to trample human rights of workers and minorities, most recently by invoking the notwithstanding clause, when our provincial government claws back funding from people on disability programs, when our provincial government makes early learning and care impossible to afford for low-income families, as it did last spring by eliminating subsidies and by allowing operators to charge unregulated supplementary fees. When those things happen, people rightfully resist these changes. But in resisting against, we should be careful not to fall into the trap of defending a previous status quo that may be indefensible. Sometimes it's useful to make a distinction between resisting against and resisting for the purpose of building something better. We need to do both. I just want to note that at its base, resisting for requires a deep discussion of values that guide where we want to go and how we want to get there. This is one area where Unitarians can help. We have some clearly outlined values as embodied in our 8 principles. These principles don't endow us with all the right answers. But to the extent that we can apply our principles as we resist for, we can develop those answers. We can help to develop those answers. And quite frankly, thinking seriously about how to resist for a better future can be a very joyful experience. And in that last sentence, I've tried to get us back to the theme of the service. Resistance, where's the joy in that? Reverend Rosemary will have more to say. Our next excuse for making noise this morning is, be ours a religion. number 1058 in the teal hymnal. The words will appear on the screen behind me. Please rise as you're willing and able to sing Be Ours a Religion.
We'll sing it through, I think it's pretty short, and it's very unfamiliar, so let's sing it through 3 times again, but it's not around. I invite you into a time of quiet, of meditation, of rest, of renewal. We come here on Sunday mornings or other times, I like to say, to resist the headlong crush of the to-do list. To not forget about it entirely, but to set it aside for just a moment. For we need breaks, don't we? We need this time of respite, this just to relax, to be a human being instead of a human doing, which is our, it is funny to hear, but it is, I often ask myself in a day, am I being a human being or am I just doing stuff? And not actually thinking about who I am and where I am and what I'm doing, and is it meeting my goals? So the way that this meditation will go is very familiar. I'm going to help you through a grounding or help you relax through a short grounding process. I've got a poem by Mary Oliver called Meditation. What I have learned so far, by Mary Oliver. I was thinking it was called Meditation. I'll read it through. We'll have 30 seconds of silence to let it sink in, and then I'll read it again. And I invite you to find some imagery or some meaning or some inspiration in Mary Oliver's words. And then we'll have some silence, after which we will watch another video or listen to Sara Thomsen's Holy Angels. There's no video, just a still picture, so I invite you to keep your eyes closed and just take in the beautiful music. So I invite you to take a couple of deep breaths, a deep, long, cleansing breaths, and arrive here, now. Let your muscles relax. Allow the chair to hold you. It will hold you. You don't need to. I invite you to put your feet on the ground if you want. Helps to ground us. To breathe into those spots in your body that maybe you're holding some tension. For me, it's always in my hips, my lower back. I breathe into those spots. I invite you to do the same. Notice your breath coming into your body, enlivening you, sustaining you, bringing you the life-giving oxygen that we need, you need, I need. And then that breath takes away all the things that you don't require. A great metaphor for life. We take in what we need, and we let go of what we no longer need or that serves us. Take another couple deep breaths, and then I invite you into silence. Meditation is old and honorable. So why should I not sit every morning of my life on the hillside, looking into the shining world? Because, properly attended to, delight, as well as havoc, is suggestion. Can one be passionate about the just, the ideal, the sublime, and the holy, and yet commit to no labor in its cause? I don't think so. All summations have a beginning. All effect has a story. All kindness begins with the sown seed. Thought buds towards radiance. The gospel of light is the crossroads of indolence or action. Be ignited or be gone. Meditation is old and honorable, so why should I not sit every morning of my life on the hillside, looking into the shining world? Because, properly attended to, delight as well as havoc, its suggestion. Can one be passionate about the just, the ideal, the sublime, and the holy, and yet commit to no labor in its cause? I don't think so. All summations have a beginning. All effect has a story. All kindness begins with the sown seed. Thought buds towards radiance. The gospel of light is the crossroads of indolence, or action. And Mary Oliver challenges us, be ignited or be gone. And a few moments of silence, after which Sara Thomsen and Holy Angels. Sit. Let's let that sit for just a moment. I don't think I've read a Mary Oliver poem that hasn't challenged me. What do you mean, be ignited or be gone? What does she mean by that? It's kind of harsh, isn't it? We are holy angels for one another. I don't Ever since I was a little girl, I had a thing about angels. I don't know if there's really angels. Some people say they have seen angels. I have not. But I love the idea of them. And I think that we are angels for one another, that we hold each other in love and in care, that we are the beings that perpetuate the love, that perpetuates the safety, that cares. We care for one another in this time. And at this time, each of us is carrying a lot of joy, some resistance, sorrow, concern, grief, loss, all the things, worry, consternation, being perturbed. Who has been perturbed this week? I have been perturbed this week on many occasions. None of you have perturbed me. Yet. The week's not quite over yet, is it, Audrey? Right, yeah. Audrey says, yet. I said, none of you have perturbed me, so for the people in the back, and Audrey says, not yet. So, yeah, thank you for that. A little whoof. Feet right back down to the ground. But we here on Sunday mornings, we light candles to show that we are human beings and that we have love. We've got a video playing after, so you get to relax. Yeah, just chill, just relax, just meditate, light candles. The tables are open for you to light candles of joy and concern, celebration or sorrow. I invite you now. Oh, you do need to play. Oh man. My brain. It's been a long week. I invite you to light candles of joy and concern. As Jeff lights the last candle for all those unspoken joys and concerns, or unlit joys and or concerns, we take a moment to be grateful for our community that we can share our joys and concerns with now in lighting candles, and later on perhaps over coffee, and I think someone brought some banana muffins if there's some left. So thank you for being here and for being vulnerable and for allowing the love of the room to enter and be part of who you are. The reading this morning is an excerpt from Pleasure Activism by Adrienne Marie Brown, and I have a picture of her. I think if Mike could put it up for a minute or two. There she is. And she says, "I believe that all organizing is science fiction, that we are shaping the future we long for and have not yet experienced." And I would have to agree with that. We don't know what the future is going to be, do we? That we are in an imagination battle, and almost everything about how we orient is shaped by fearful imaginings. We are part of a natural world that is constantly changing, and we need to learn to adapt together and stay in relationship if we hope to survive as a species. She asks, then, what is pleasure activism? Well, pleasure is a feeling of happy satisfaction and enjoyment. We all experience pleasure, going for a walk, playing with a baby, taking your dog for a walk, playing with the dog. It's pleasurable. Activism consists of efforts to promote, impede, or direct social, political, economic, or environments in society. Pleasure activism is the work we do to reclaim our whole, happy, and satisfiable selves. Pleasure activism asserts that we all need and deserve pleasure, and that our social structures must reflect this. Activists seek to understand and learn from the politics and power dynamics inside of everything that makes us feel good. This encompasses all areas of our life, including fashion, humor, connection, reading, cooking and eating, music and other arts, and on and on. Pleasure activists believe that by tapping into the potential goodness in each of us, we can generate justice and liberation, growing a healthy abundance where we have been socialized to believe only scarcity exists. Ultimately, pleasure activism is us learning to make justice and liberation the most pleasurable experiences we can have on this planet. End of quote. We can take her picture down, I think. So I've been reading some of her works, Emergent Strategy and Pleasure Activism, a brilliant woman, queer woman, and if you have a chance to read any of her works, I recommend them. Have you ever looked in the mirror and said to yourself, perfect, just as I am? Who has ever done that? A few of you, awesome, thank you. Pardon? I still didn't get what she said. Oh, that'll do. Good enough for now. Yeah, absolutely. That'll do. Yep, I do that. I can get there. I don't need, have you said to yourself, I don't need anything that anyone is trying to sell me? If you have, I need some of what you've got. The entire advertising industry, the beauty industry, Amazon, and on are trying to get us to believe that we need their product to be good enough, beautiful enough, strong enough, worthy enough to be acceptable to society at large.
Pleasure activism pushes back on those notions that we are incomplete and therefore need to buy what they are selling. Don't get me wrong, I own lots of stuff too. And I'm not suggesting that you stop acquiring things that you might need. Rather, what I'm saying is the idea that in order to be happy, to find joy, we have to change who we are and how we present ourselves to be acceptable. Pleasure activism says you are perfect the way you are. So society says that unless we do all the things, we don't deserve to be joyful. There's a saying, being joyful or happy is a form of resistance. This idea is not new. Simone de Beauvoir asked the question, is it right to be happy in a world that's broken? She was worried that in order to be authentic and reflect what is going on in the world, it would be frivolous to be happy. I've sometimes thought that, have you? It's like, how can we be happy? How can we bring another world life into this world? How can we do this? How can we do that when the world is such a mess? But nothing could be further from the truth. Finding joy is a way to push back against the oppression. Through joy, we are reminded of our own humanity, that we have power, and joy gives our bodies a break when it seems as though the world is falling apart. Being joyful also builds resilience. We'll be talking quite a bit about resilience next month, but joy counteracts stress, helps us see the lighter side of things, and we can use humor to help us get through a disagreement with a friend, colleague, or family member. Have you ever been to a protest rally? Yeah. It is not all gloom and doom, is it? No, it's fun. People are having fun, they're singing, they're laughing, and most importantly, building relationships, which I think is the core, what's needed. Right at the base is this building relationships, these one-on-one relationships, and having authentic, honest, real conversations and real relationships with one another. Being joyful gives us the strength to be able to fight for change, to be able to fight the change the world, to be able to fight to change the world from as it is to the world as it should be. Simone de Beauvoir clearly states that being happy in the face of adversity and injustice isn't a turning away or shutting out reality, but rather understanding the world as it is, and yet not allowing it to crush our souls, to make us miserable, to take the joy that we do have out of the picture. She suggests that it's easy to become paralyzed by the state of the world. So she suggests we need to engage with the world as it is, but not allow it to rob us of our joy. A good friend of Simone's said to her when she was questioning her own right to find the joy in anything, and he said, to be human is to be constantly in tension between attempting to control the world around us and to avoid being crushed by it. In other words, we have to have joy in our lives so that we don't get paralyzed, don't get crushed, don't get despondent and depressed. As humans, we are ever caught in this tension, aren't we? Adrienne Marie Brown's philosophy that we as humans are meant to embrace pleasure where and when we can sits well alongside de Beauvoir's thinking that it is important to not let the weight of the world crush us. They are both telling us that we need to look at the world, engage with it, and remain grounded in who we are, and make sure that we do not change for the worse by the politics and injustice that seems to be getting more and more extreme with each passing day. There is a lot to be sad about. We could name them, and we could go on for a long time. We're all thinking about folks in Minnesota, on and on. That's kind of on the top of my radar right now. Venezuela, ICE, it goes on and on. There's a lot to be sad about, and there's a lot to be worried about. There is much work to be done, and the struggle can bring suffering if we let it. Therefore, allowing joy to also live within us reduces that stress and anxiety and brings peace to ourselves and those around us. I've been thinking a lot about those monks that are walking across the United States from Texas to Washington, D.C. Has anybody been following them? Yeah, I love them, says Kelly. Yeah, I do too. I really love the dog, actually. They are calling their walk the walk for peace. At the beginning, they weren't always treated kindly. In fact, at one point, a car crashed into their pilot car on purpose, pushing the pilot car into the monks, kind of like a domino effect, injuring 2 monks, one seriously. One monk, who is their master, in fact, lost his leg from the accident. I'm going to quote the master. I'm quoting an article about the master. The master accepted the event with peace and forgiveness. He stated that the loss of his leg was acceptable if it helped spread the message of peace and harmony. That's a whole lot of forgiveness right there. So this reaction of his turned this event into major news, garnering increased support until it became a movement. That's the end of that quote. So they are, like I said, walking from Texas to Washington, D.C., and they will probably be in Washington in mid-February. They will have walked about 3,700 kilometers. They are adhering to an aesthetic practice, and they are totally reliant on those that support them. They have given anything extra, they give it away. They sleep under protection of trees. They are completely doing the monk thing. Their dog, Aloka, has captured the hearts of all who have been following. He has his own Instagram and Facebook page, by the way. These monks are bringing joy to everyone. I read some of the comments. It's like, I went to see them and I wept with joy. Just the aura of them, the mood that they're bringing. And their dog is bringing much joy as well. Apparently he had to have a bit of surgery, so he's on reduced walking right now. Can only walk about half an hour a day, but I imagine he's in the pilot car. Some memorable quotes from the monks. Peace is not something to be found outside. It must be cultivated from within. Even in a divided world, peace is possible. Not because the world changes, but because our hearts change. We are not walking to bring peace to anyone. We are merely messengers to remind you that you already possess that peace and happiness, but you have forgotten it because you are busy chasing material things and the external world. That's another quote. And one more. When something happens, maintain your mindfulness. Don't react. Pause for a moment. Choose the right words, then speak. Choose the right actions, then act. If you can do this, anger and hatred will disappear. When we react, we suffer. So far, we are understanding that joy is a form of resistance. It can help us personally to reduce stress and worry in the face of adversity. We know that joy is a form of resistance that can help us fuel the energy we need to push back against the hatred, greed, and turmoil. We know that feeling joy and pleasure is our right, and we don't need to do a darn thing to deserve it. It's there for you now. I've talked a lot, so one of the things I like doing is asking you to talk. And Mike, if you could put people into the breakout rooms, hopefully you got my text, and have 2 people each in the breakout rooms. And as we kind of sort ourselves out here, Mike will get folks into the breakout rooms as quickly as possible, and I'll give you a heads up when it's time to come back. So I would like to see you in small groups, no 2 or 3, no more, okay? And to talk to each other. And the couple of questions you could answer in those conversations is, when did you find yourself feeling joy? When the situation you found yourself in was not joyful. So when did you find joy at a time that was miserable, perhaps? When have you used joy to get through a difficult situation? You can replace humor. I don't know about you, but I've used humor many times in arguments with folks or with spouses and that kind of thing, families. And feel free to talk about anything else that has resonated with you on this topic or others. So go ahead and put yourself into groups of 2 or 3, 3 at the most, and have a chat about joy as resistance. Okay. How was that? People enjoy themselves? Did you have some good conversations? It's always hard to get you back. It's like, I was standing up at the podium. It's time to stop talking. It's my turn to talk. I've worked in the classroom. I know. If everybody's not listening, you just stop talking. Yeah, there we go. When I was up on the podium, it sounded to me like music. I was like wondering, where's the music coming from? And it was coming from the joyful laughter and the great conversations that you were all having, getting to know each other a little bit better. And I invite you to bring those conversations out for coffee or tea after the service in the vestibule. And I know that some of us are going to like a budgety kind of meeting right afterwards. So we'll probably Zoom away, but please feel free to stay afterwards for coffee, and those on Zoom to continue your conversations in the larger group if you so choose. So now we're going to be singing our last hymn, hymn number 1008 by Joyce Poley, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. We're joyful, joyful, joyful. Please rise in body or in spirit.
I invite Amber Rodriguez to come to the front to extinguish the flame. Ambrose, sorry. In the chalice, please. As she does so, I will read Each of Us Ministers to a Weary World by Darcy Roake. There's too much hardship in this world not to find joy every day. There's too much justice in this world not to find the balance every day. There's too much pain in this world not to heal every day. Each of us ministers to a weary world. Let us go forth now and do that which calls us to make this world more loving, more compassionate, and more filled with the grace of divine presence every day. Thank you, Ambrose.
Before I offer words of benediction, I would like to thank you all for being here, all those of you in the sanctuary, all of those that risked the ice walk to your car or the bus stop. It's treacherous out there. Be careful, please. No falling. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being online now and in the future, at some future date on YouTube. Thank you to everyone that contributed to this service. Service leader, musicians, tech people, slides. So much goes into putting one of these services on every week. And I am so grateful to have such a great team to work with for your benefit and my benefit, all of us together, our benefit. So I offer these words of benediction. Audrey tells me that they're her favorite, so I will read them. I will use this benediction today. Do not be dismayed by the brokenness of the world. Things can break, and they do. But things too can be mended, but not with time, as they say, with intention. So I invite you to go out into the world and love intentionally, love extravagantly, and love unconditionally. For the broken world waits in darkness for the light that is you. Go in peace, gentle people. Go in peace. Amen. And now let us sing our linking song, Carry the Flame. The words will come up if you're not familiar. If you're new, you don't have to hold hands if you don't want to. But they're going to make you.